Hey there, boss. You might want to wake up and see this.
Oh, what's going on? I was just having a nightmare.
You are never going to believe how weak that this Indiana schedule is. Can you say cupcakes?
Yeah? The schedule's weak? Well, what the hell are we waiting for? To the video machine!
All right.
Well, Mike Woodson put together a schedule that had Twitter going absolutely nuts on Wednesday afternoon. We will talk about the schedule and, yeah?
Did you see the new schedule?
We're making a video about the schedule right now.
Oh man, it's all cupcakes. Can you believe it? No, I'm not surprised either. Hey, here's something for you.
Oh, very funny. Mike Woodson, nothing else to say. It's a cupcake schedule. Let's talk about it on this episode. Let's get into it.
1 for 3 on the way.
Hello, guys, and welcome to Indiana Sports Connection. I am your residential anchor, Aaron. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being part of this Indiana Hoosiers and Colts community on here, the fastest growing fans channel on YouTube. So subscribe to the channel, do all that good stuff. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. We've got to go over the schedule because definitely social media was going wild. I did see a few people protecting Mike Woodson, so we'll talk about his point of view. We're going to talk about the 2 points of view from this, but mainly, I mean, as you probably know, if you've watched this show, I am highly disappointed in the schedule. It shows a level of weakness. I mean, just weakness from our leadership, our team. I don't know. I mean, it's almost like if you were protecting your kids, you'd make them play against a bunch of rinky-dink places so that they could feel good about themselves. Is that what we're doing here? Is that what we're doing here as a blue blood program? Just throwing some cupcake games out there so that some guys can feel good about themselves going into January? I am definitely mad about this. And maybe there's time. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some backlash, but he'll add a team or something like that. I don't really think so. But we do have a couple of things to talk about. Tony Stuckey, he has not claimed the basketball yet. So Tony Stuckey, email me at weeboyazza72@gmail.com. It's in the description or in the about section of the video, and I will send you the basketball. If not, the next video I make, I will auction the basketball off to some other subscriber of the channel. Thank you so much for being here. This is Indiana Sports Connection. I'm your residential anchor, Aaron. Hit that subscribe button down below. The next giveaway is the Greg Oden basketball, signed by Greg Oden. I'll tell you what, even if you don't like Greg Oden, this is one of the nicest basketballs. I bought it off of a guy and thought it'd be great for the show. Turned out to be a really nice basketball. I mean, I wish I could use it, but I'm giving it out to one of you out there. But let's get into the episode and let's get into talking. I have one other thing. We will talk a little bit about IU football at the end of this as well. But without further ado, let's get into talking about the Indiana Hoosiers. Oh, I have not made a video at this time of day very often, but happy Thursday to you. It is 4:30 in the evening. It's time for Indiana Sports Connection, and let's get into the schedule here. I'm just going to go through game by game here, and I got all of the KenPom rankings of the teams from last year that we can spout off at the same time, and we'll just look at it, and I guess that's all we can do. We can look at it and say, look at this. All right. Hillbilly Monkey, pull up some of the schedule here. All right. So that we can see it on our screen. All right. Thank you very much. And I do have, before we get into the schedule, I have one other thing. The name for the new character is Corn Pop. That was a suggestion from somebody, but Corn Pop, he gonna cut somebody. If you know that story, Corn Pop's gonna cut somebody. So Corn Pop, that's your name. I'm surrounded by corn, so I guess it makes sense to call him Corn Pop anyway. Somewhat. Corn Pop. I like that. I love the cereal too, even though I don't eat it anymore because I'm trying to watch my waistline. I'm trying not to poison myself with the sugar like I've done my whole life. November 6th, and we know that'll be either a very happy or a very unhappy day for a lot of people. But November 6th versus SIU Edwardsville, and they're ranked 286. November 10th, we play Eastern Illinois. And their Ken Pom ranking last year, 320. Starting to see a trend here. Then we go November 16th, our hardest game, all in the non-conference through November and December. This is the hardest game we're practically going to play besides the battle for Atlantis. South Carolina at home. They were ranked 54th in Ken Pom rankings last year. I know some people said, oh, they got transfers, they got this. They're just nowhere near the caliber of a team that's going to draw like a big crowd and a big amount of like enthusiasm. Just let me take a second here. Isn't that what we live for? I mean, we live for number one teams coming into Assembly Hall. I mean, the last 2 years we played Kansas, we played North Carolina. I felt like we have to have at least one of those type of teams coming in. I mean, last year we played Auburn, UConn. UConn was part of a New York thing, if I remember right. We played Auburn on the road, which was a great test. Really kind of showed what we really had to do as a team going forward. And the Kansas game at home last year really gave us a lot of hope for the future. Like, hey, look what this team can do. You know, when they really put it together, they played really well against Kansas. And Trey Galloway played one of his best games all season. I mean, he scored like 26 or 29 points. This is why this is just upsetting to me. It's like, God, I mean, before, I don't know. We'll get into it more at the end after I'm. In November 21st, UNC Greensboro, 147. We got the Battle of Atlantis. So there are big teams in the Battle of Atlantis. We could play Gonzaga and we could play Arizona. Those are the only two teams. But here's the one caveat of those tournaments, and that's over Thanksgiving weekend. By the end of the year, I mean, by the time March rolls around, and those are played on neutral courts, and it's always kind of taken into consideration. You know, they play that one out in San Diego where Michigan State's played on like a aircraft carrier or something like that. You know, you got the Maui Classic, you got the UNC Asheville Invitational. There, you know, just several of these types of things. And you never really get the clout of game of like winning a big game on the road, or even like mid-December just having a standalone game against a 1 or a 2 seed, or just a top 10 team, or just a team that you know is going to be ranked. And we'll talk about some of the teams maybe they could have gotten to come in that I thought about that I'm like, yeah, there are plenty of teams out there I think that would come to Assembly Hall if we agreed to play them on the road next year, or vice versa. I think there are plenty of teams out there like that. But let's go through the rest of the teams here that we're going to play in December. So you got the Battle for Atlantis after UNC Greensboro. That's going to be over Thanksgiving week, and that will be fun to watch. And that will be when we really see if this team can do it. And they should win all of these games. I mean, they should win this Battle for Atlantis too. December 3rd, you play Sam Houston, right? Coming into town. Ranked 142 last year. 142, okay? Miami of Ohio, coming in on December 6th. 257. 257. Then there's a big break between December 6th and December 21st. So there will be a big break there in between, and there will be 2 Big Ten games, one on the road and one at home. They've been doing that for quite a while now at the beginning of December, so we know we got that coming. Those are always seem a little less intense games because they're so early in the year, like before teams have really solidified their lineups and kind of like more of their identity and character of their teams. But that's why you schedule tough teams in November and December, and at least a couple of tough teams in December, so that you can weigh the pros and cons of like, what does this guy look like when he's under intense pressure? I mean, what does Miles Rice look like when he's being guarded by, you know, top level players like we're going to play in the Big Ten this year? UCLA is no slouch. USC is no slouch. I mean, the teams coming in are not slouches. And then you got teams like, we just know all the teams in the Big Ten are tough, and they're tough defensive-minded teams. They're not UT Chattanooga that we're playing on December 21st. That's the next game. And they're ranked 1 140. So there you can see we're really trying to get ready for the Big Ten season because we're playing a team ranked 140 on December 21st. Then December 28th, you got Winthrop coming into town. How much you like that? Winthrop at 176 last year in KenPom rankings. Here's my point. I mean, I don't mean to be this, animated about this, but you know what? Mike Woodson's already said, I'm going to keep my job for as long as I want and until I say it's time to go. Well, you know what? You can't produce a fake narrative around the team. I mean, playing a bunch of cupcake schools and then prancing out there like, January 1st, like, oh, look at the kind of front runners we are. And then the next thing you know, it's just going to be bam, bam, bam. Like we're going to come into the Big Ten season unprepared because you got to work it out. You got to watch them play against the weak teams, and then you got a big game coming up, and you have to work it out that way so that you can see, okay, in a tight game against a top-level opponent, because then once you're in the Big Ten, it's like that every other game. I mean, it just keeps coming. It's Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, Tuesday, Saturday, Thursday. I mean, there's barely ever any rest. I mean, I know they've built in these like weeks off into the Big Ten schedule now, but it's going to be, I'm sorry. And I see what he's doing. And I guess coming into this episode, I thought, I'm going to, what's that?
Up your butt sideways, because I'm your doctor. Do what I say. He's right.
Here, Bob Knight, he come in, they played the goddamn old Russians, and they got kicked off the floor. They beat the crap out of them, but they left the dang floor. You remember that? Yeah, Bob Knight, he did bring in the Russians, and they beat Indiana by like 20 points. But you know what? He realized that is what you want to do. You want to put your team under a certain amount of adversity. That's it. You want them to be under some adversity so that you can really see how they're going to react when they're under that type of adversity. I don't want to like doom this team, and I am a huge IU fan. I know people will say, "Oh, you're not an IU fan because of this," and I will say to those people, you can buy your true fan shirt in the shopping section of the thing. Yeah, let's take a look at some of this new merch. I got So I got the Bury Me Upside Down shirt is a new one, and I got the True Fan shirt, a new one out there. So if you want those are made by Spreadshirt, and there's like a couple of different types of t-shirts you can buy on there, but just something I thought people would want to wear to some of the games and identify yourself as being a true fan. I'm working on getting a Sports Connection logo on there as well, but enough promoting the channel. Like, I see what Mike Woodson's plan is here, and I see how, he wants that positive reinforcement. I don't believe that positive reinforcement works. I don't think it works with kids. I think you need the power of negative thinking at times, and that is what will get you through to that next level of competition. I think the power of negative thinking, and we all know who wrote that book. And I'm not trying to be negative on here now, but if you can't put these guys through the ringer and have them come out on the other end ready for the Big Ten season, I don't know what this is going to look like. And also, I feel like we're kind of setting ourselves up. If a few of these games, say you play this team that's 257 or 247, wherever they are, and you have a close game with one of those teams, boom, like all of a sudden, bam, you are just losing like we did last year in the KenPom rankings. And we know if Mike Woodson can't get this defense together, that's going to be the main key. Defense, last year, we could not switch. We could not get up on guys on the perimeter, and we got tore up by guys on Army and different teams. Now, this is a totally different team. I know people leave in the comments, this is totally different. I know it's a totally different team. I have great faith in this team. We have to, there has to be something more. I mean, that I just don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments down below, because I just, maybe I'm getting too worked up about this, but this had a lot of people fired up on Twitter. Now, let's go into talking about the football team for a minute. Cignetti is doing a fantastic job, and he got these two guys from Cincinnati. Let me pull them up. So he got one dude. I'll tell you, my cousin Mark, he used to coach football in Ohio, and Ohio football is a lot like Indiana basketball. I mean, they are crazy about football. They have like the playoffs there. They have a totally different system of how they do things. They don't have sectionals or anything like that. Cignetti, he brings in Baylor Wilkin, announces commitment to Indiana. That was on Tuesday. And Wilkin is a 6'4", 275-pound interior offensive lineman. He's unranked nationally, but I'll tell you, going into Ohio and recruiting players like this for Cignetti, it is huge for the program. 247 Sports tabs him as number 71 interior offensive lineman in the class of 2025 and number 54 in Ohio. But I am really pumped up for the football season coming up, and I think we're going to see a better product on the field that just something that be more presentable, that we can be in games and football and they can be fun to watch and entertaining to watch. And I plan on making a lot of videos, like, because I love to watch football as much as anything. And so I will make a lot of videos about the football once we get a little bit closer to it. It's so hard to get information. There are so many players, and I think even the coaches in college football are kind of weeding through like who's going to be the starters and who's not. So, I'm kind of just waiting for it to get more ramped up so I can get more information about it. And we will be talking about that. August 31st is our first game. But for a schedule release in July, a lot of fans were really fired up about this. And I'm fired up about it too. Would like to just see some more national games that are going to be played at Assembly Hall in the early parts of the year against top level teams. That's all I'm saying. So, hey, thank you so much for watching this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. Until next time, stay classy out there, Hoosier fans.
Hello, friend.
These days, I think cybersecurity is now as important as physical security. That's why when I'm online, I use NordVPN. NordVPN uses next generation encryption to keep my passwords and data safe, which is especially important when I'm traveling and I'm on public Wi-Fi, which is more vulnerable to hacking. I'm sure a lot of you are going to be traveling for the holidays this summer. Use NordVPN, one account that will protect all your devices and computers. And with their 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose.